Welcome, everybody, to our 7th annual Communication Alumni Panel. Every year, we invite alumni who represent a variety of different kinds of positions that you can do with your degree when you graduate. And this year is no different. We've got a distinguished panel here before you. And so I will let each of them introduce themselves, what they do, and after that, they will then field questions about their positions or the job search process or their advice. So I'm going to let them start, and we'll start with Elizabeth Thompson.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Good? Fantastic. I'm Elizabeth Thompson. I work for the City of Pikeville. I'm the Administrative Economic Development Director there. Basically what I do is I handle all the marketing for the city. I do print, social media, website design, videos, and then I also work with small businesses, business recruitment, retention, and then I also do basic city government operations, things of that nature. So pretty much anything city related, I'm your girl.
My name's Ty Compton. I'm the associate head men's basketball coach here. I've been here for 9 years now, and do a lot of the recruiting for our program, do a lot of the game planning for our program. Started out, kind of as a student manager as an undergraduate, and have just kind of worked my way up throughout the years to associate head coach now. Was here my second year. I think we won a national championship in 2011. We won a couple conference championships since then as well, and have had a pretty good run of success. So most of you guys have probably seen me somewhere or know me somehow. So this is my wife, Lisa. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about her.
I am Lisa Compton. I am the Community Trust Bank Marketing Assistant and 55 Plus Club Director. Some of you all look like football players, I'm going to assume. I don't know if any of you all have heard of the Pike County Bowl. It is one of the oldest bowl games in the state of Kentucky, and I have the privilege of planning that throughout the year. So I deal with teenagers on the athletic side, and I also deal with senior citizens throughout eastern Kentucky. And I plan events. I am obviously in marketing. I do ads and things of that nature.
What's up? I'm Buddy Forbes. I am a staff writer at the Appalachian News Express, which is just at the bottom of the hill here. I write stories and take photos, deal with people like Elizabeth and a lot of other people on this panel just for the stories, mostly county news. That's my job, guys.
My name is Marianne Fletcher. I am basically in the same boat as Buddy. I work for a CBS affiliate, WYMT in Hazard. I'm a reporter and a producer. We cover eastern and southern Kentucky, a couple of counties in Tennessee, and West Virginia.
Hello everyone. My name is Lauren Gregory. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at UPike, so I see some of my recruits in the room, which makes me super happy. I obviously recruit students. I still serve very much as an admissions counselor. My coverage area is Eastern Kentucky, so all the local schools. So I go all the way from Pike County over to Clay, and then from Pike up to Ashland. So I have 30 to 40 some high schools in my area that I cover. I supervise our other counselors and plan out recruiting and all that good stuff. We plan events. We have we just had a college fair on campus, and we host luncheons for local guidance counselors and superintendents and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Hey guys, my name is Dalton Stevens, and I'm a senior account specialist for Enterprise Holdings. Most of you guys probably know it as Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They actually own 3 affiliates, Enterprise, Alamo, and National Brands. I actually work specifically for the commercial truck division, which we oversee major accounts and a lot of what you guys see. on the trucks or on the road as like medium duty trucks, box trucks, things like that. I'm actually an account manager for those guys. So our entire job is based around sales, marketing, and just overall, counter sales. Like Lisa said just a minute ago, a lot of you guys look like football players. Something interesting to know is Enterprise is the #1 employer of college athletes in the country. So any of you guys that get out of college and you want to pursue that career path, they are very excited to have previous athletes from college.
I'm Abigail Gibson, and I work for Pikeville Medical Center. I'm a staff writer for their paper, which is called The Medical Leader. And basically my job just consists of writing, doing feature stories on individuals and taking photos, and also laying out the paper.
Hey guys, my name is Tiffany Grimm, and I am the project manager for public relations at Pikeville Medical Center. I am responsible for several things, numerous projects that come through with Pikeville Medical Center, like the Angel Tree program we are hosting, and I'm coordinating that. I maintain the signage throughout the hospital, and I help coordinate some of our internal publications and just assist with various public relations events. So.
Where do we go from here? All right, nice.
Does anyone want to share more about their path to where they are now?
Well, I'm sure we can.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. My career started, well, let's start here. I graduated UPike in 2012, and I double majored in English and communication, and I highly suggest if you can double major, do it. It's awesome. It will always benefit you more. But then I got a job at the Appalachian News Express, and I started there, and I worked there until 2014, until I took a job at the city as a grant administrator, where I managed $33 million in grant funds, managing projects and construction projects and the Kentucky Enterprise Industrial Park. And then I moved into being city clerk, which is basically a historian for the city. And then I moved into then I moved into economic development, and that's where I am right now. That's pretty much that in a gist.
Yeah, I started, I was a business major here when I first came. Transferred in and had 2 years left. And went all the way through the business program. I think I was 3 or 4 classes from graduating with a business management degree, and then I hit the business math wall. And that was a huge wall for me, finance and quantitative methods and that kind of stuff. And I decided that may not be what I wanted to do after all, and went through the entire communication program in a year. Had never taken a communication course before. Had met Lisa, and she was going into communications, so I decided I'd just go into communications as well. And that ended up being a better choice for me, but I got through, I think, 18 hours and then a 15-hour summer, and got it done in a year. And it's been a good choice. With my career, I'm talking to student athletes from all over the country, all over the globe, all from a different background, different cultural beliefs, different wants, different desires for the future. And really communications is what got me out of my shell and willing to talk and more comfortable communicating and really learning how to communicate differently to each individual person, and just learning that there's not just communication and that's it, that there's different methods and different ways to maybe open people up and communicate with others. So I worked as a student assistant before I got a full-time job while I was still a student here, going through the program, basically working full-time but not getting paid for it was pretty much the description of that. Stuck with it and was able to learn the tricks of the trade on the job, kind of on the fly as well with that. And luckily I've been able to move into full-time position once I finished up here and waited on her to finish up here too. We were a year apart after I went an extra year. And the rest is history.
I graduated in 2012 with obviously a communication degree. I graduated high school in 2009. I came in with a biology major, which at the time seemed like a great idea, but it definitely wasn't about after the first semester. After my first semester, I was on academic probation. I mean, I'm sure some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't do very well. It was hard for me to have the equal triangle that they talk to you about with your social life, your personal life, and your academics. I was focused too much on myself and not on my academics, so I definitely deserved to be on academic probation. But then finally one day Chandra just approached me after one of my classes and was like, maybe this is something you need to think about. And I thought long and hard about it over Christmas break, and I switched my major, which turned out to be a great idea. Coming into college, I was the most shy little girl I have ever laid eyes on. I mean, I couldn't hold a conversation with anyone, and to be honest, I would probably be shaking if I was still that person right now. But with a communication degree and going through all of the communication classes, I have been grateful, and I can speak in front of a crowd and be fine with it. I spent 2 summers abroad with I spent 1 summer abroad with Elizabeth and 1 summer abroad with my sister through the Keys program, and then I graduated in 3 years with the 2 summer programs. So it helped, and I just changed my major once. So
That's really not bad.
So my journey was a little non-traditional, to say the least. I started UPike when it was Pikeville College in 2010, and I graduated the past May. So you can do the math, I'm not going to for you. But I was here a while. I knew what I wanted to do when I came to UPike. I knew I wanted to be a writer, I knew I wanted to be a journalist, but I didn't know how to do that. So I started out with an English degree because that makes sense, right? Yeah. Well, not for me. So after a while, I decided I wasn't into English, and I heard about communication. I think it was actually from a panel like this, maybe a poster for the panel. I probably didn't go to the panel because, well, that was me. But I heard about communication, and then I gave it a shot, and I loved it. I loved every class that I took. I only wanted communication classes. I didn't want anything else, and it did take me a while to graduate. But I'm better for that because doing communication, I got closer to journalism and in that aspect of my life, which is what I do for a living. So through programs that we do here, like through Bear Facts, and we did the Washington internship program with Nancy over there. We went to Washington, D.C. during the inauguration, and I got to see all of these people who work in the media during that. So all of the decisions that I made in my non-traditional years got me to where I am now, which is writing for a paper. And a lot of people say, well, why would you want to write for a paper when print media is dying, right? But that's not really true, because our newspaper now runs 5 separate newspapers from our headquarters. It's a regional newspaper. It's Appalachian Newspapers, Inc. now. So we have Paintsville, we have Hazard, we have Floyd County, Mingo County, and we have a paper here. So we're growing when we're not supposed to be, which means print media is not dead, and which means I might have a job next year.
All right, so I began UPike in 2011. Didn't really know what I was going to do. I joined a sorority. A lot of my sorority sisters at Zeta Omega Chi, they were comm majors. So I thought, oh, well, I could give it a try. Tried it, fell in love with it. Loved Chandra. Eventually got Rachel and everyone, and I loved the path that I was taking. In 2012, I think maybe 2013, we got the Film and Media Arts program. And that's kind of where my journalism, started. We started Bear TV News, and I loved it. I loved reporting, and I loved writing stories, and I loved talking to people. So from there, I just kind of started doing freelance jobs, a lot of jobs unpaid, that's for sure. I graduated UPike in 2016, 16? 15? 15? Something like Okay, 15. Okay, yeah, something like that. So whatever. It's been a while. Yeah, and I immediately jumped into my career. Right after graduation, it wasn't 2 weeks, and I started at WYMT. And from there, I became a producer, and now I'm finally reporting and hopefully moving. I live in Hazard right now at the our main station, and hopefully moving back here to Pikeville soon to start reporting from our Big Sandy bureau. Yeah, love what I do. You know, it's true when they say that when you love what you do, it's not like you're going to work every day. It's not a job, it's a career. And I would say make sure that you go into something that you truly, truly love, because it makes every day a whole lot easier.
I started at UPike in 2011 and also started out as a biology major. Took my first biology class and was like, no, not happening. Not about it. How many of you have started out as biology majors? Yes. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a thing. You have to get that out of your system, you know, whatever. So I thought I wanted to do occupational therapy. And while I still kind of wanted to do that, I didn't have to be a biology major to do so. Like, I just had to take certain courses to be accepted into the OT program at EKU. So one thing I suggest is if you are looking into programs like that, get on a website of the school that you're looking into and see if they offer like information sessions about these programs, because that's what I did. So I went to EKU and I'm not bashing EKU or anything, but I went to EKU and learn more about their program and just realized that it wasn't for me. So I came back and was like, oh, well, gosh, where do I go from here? So I took an intro to communication class and I liked it. I had my public speaking class. I was shy as well. I feel like I'm very much like Lisa. I was shy as well coming out of high school, but I feel like my public speaking class just really opened me up. So I just, I went and I changed my major to communication. And I really enjoyed it. One thing I will say I'm super thankful for is that communication allows you to take a lot of different courses. And now I think it's even based to where like you can graduate with a communication and a FMA major like pretty much together because you take a lot of the same courses. I realized I did not like FMA. I could never do her job. Like it's not happening for me. So all those times I had to report and write articles and edit and all that stuff, I was like, God, please get me out of here. Like I can't do it. So super thankful for that. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't have taken those courses through communication. So definitely opened my eyes to what I liked and what I didn't like. Graduated UPike in 2015 with Marianne, who knows? She could have graduated with me too, but I don't know. I did have classes with her, so graduated in 2015. Actually, I'm from Manchester, Kentucky, so I moved back home for a couple months. Chandra and Rachel actually helped me get a job with Girl Scouts. They helped me with my cover letter and resume, and I aggravated them to death. And moved back home for a couple months, and the opportunity came back for me to come here as an admissions counselor. So I started back here in September of 2015, and here I am, still here.
All right, guys. So I'm going to talk to you about two things. First, my career path not my career path, my college path. And then second, I'm also going to talk about the staff that you guys have around you in terms of your professors and your staff over in career counseling and advancement and everything like that, just because you guys need to know that you have a very, very strong team of supportive individuals surrounding you. So when I started out in college, I was a photographer. So naturally, I thought I was going to go into communication / film media arts, which was a program that Bruce Parsons was talking to me a lot about my freshman year. Like Lauren and like Lisa, I started out as a biology major. Like Lauren and like Lisa, that did not work out very well at all. So my sophomore year, I decided to switch over to the Film Media Arts program. Was in that for about a year and a half or so. Through Film Media Arts, I took some common electives and got a chance to meet Chandra and Rachel. Rachel was actually my intro to public speaking professor. Loved it. Fantastic. Great job. A couple years later, I ended up taking advanced public speaking, which Rachel also was my professor in. Great job. There you go. There you go. So I ended up being a comm major, ended up graduating in 2016. And my last year of college, I really, really relied on the support staff I had with Chandra and Rachel and Nancy as well. I didn't actually have Nancy as a professor. I just know she was the head of the department, and she was very supportive of everything that Rachel and Chandra wanted us to do. And she understood, that these guys were trying to help us out the best they can. And I can honestly say that, even after graduating college, I'm still really good friends with Rachel and Chandra, and I talk to them on a regular basis. Okay, so someone else I want to point out in the room is Sonia Smith over here on the far right-hand side. She's the director of career counseling, okay? And the reason why she is super important to my career path is because I worked with her countless hours on prepping for my interviews. So she actually helped me learn tools and how to work through interviews and be very productive in them and actually say things that you needed to say. Since then, I've gotten 2 internal promotions with Enterprise Holdings and moved to Lexington, Kentucky, where now I'm once again a senior account specialist down there. So thank you so much, Sonia. You're very helpful. She really helped me, I believe, get my career started after college. And to go into what I kind of do a little bit more, once again, I do marketing and stuff like that. I go out on sales calls. I do fact finds, closing presentations. I do account management, account reviews, things like that. So if any of you guys have any, anybody here wants to be a pharmaceutical sales, director, or they want to be in pharmaceutical sales or any type of medical sales, this is a great starting point. And Enterprise also can, they can house a career for you many years to come. Most of the people that are way up high in the chain have been with the company for 20 and 30 years. And we only promote internally. So our CEO started out doing the exact same thing that most people do at the rental counter that you're going to see down the road here in Coal Run. That's actually where I started out. Worked there for 6 months, got promoted, went to Lexington, was an account specialist, worked there for 8 months, got promoted to a senior account specialist, and now I'm about to move to Louisville. So once again, really, really, really can't stress enough how much of a support system you guys have here. So please, if you're in your senior or junior year, utilize them because they are extremely helpful in letting you know exactly what career path you want to take after college. And obviously that's the reason why we're all here. We all want to get jobs. So, jobs that are going to hopefully keep us employed very long. Sorry, buddy. So
Regional papers. Regional newspapers.
But in all honesty, like I said, we've all obviously fell under the umbrella of those ladies over there, and they're very great. Okay.
Okay, so I guess my path started, I graduated high school in 2011, and then I came to Pikeville College and graduated in 2015. And, communications, I was kind of like Lisa and Lauren. I was just kind of in this shell. I didn't really talk very much. I was really shy, and communications kind of helped me to kind of expand and talk to people and learn different ways to communicate with people. And it really helped taking the public speaking classes and be able to, get up in front of a crowd and people and talk, because I wasn't very good at that when I first started. And basically, I just think, like he said, you guys have a great support system and you need to use them because they are very great at helping you, prepare things that you need. And another thing that I do with my job is I use Adobe programs a lot, so I would definitely recommend getting really familiar with those. Because with the way technology is, you're going to need it, and you're going to use it. You're going to have it. And well, I guess kind of how I got to where I am today. I started, after I graduated, I immediately started working at the Southeast Kentucky Chamber of Commerce as their communications manager for 2 years, and then I transitioned to the hospital, and I've almost been there a year.
So first of all, I didn't make the mistake of coming in with a biology major. So, but I did come in undecided. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I knew that I wanted to possibly write and edit. So, like Buddy, the logical choice was English. And so I switched to an English major and took several semesters of different English classes and really enjoyed it. But I ended up having a communications class for one of my core requirements. It was public speaking is the first one I took, I think. And I loved it. I didn't think I was going to love it, but I loved it. Apparently, I like to talk more than I thought I did. So I took public speaking, and then I had spoken with Chandra, who I had known prior to coming to Pikeville College. She was one of the big reasons I came here in 2006. By the way, I'm apparently like over the hills with everybody else here. 2 of the 3 professors I have are retired at this point. So. But anyways, Chandra was the reason I came to Pikeville College. But once I took my first communications class, it was love. I fell in love with it. Switched from an English major to a communications major, and followed through with that. I took 5 years to graduate because I played soccer my first 2 years, and then I was an independent student, so I ended up having to work the last 3 years through college. And I worked for Kraft Foods at the time as a merchandiser. And once I graduated in May of 2011, I was a sales rep. I graduated on Saturday and I was a sales rep on Monday. So, but I wouldn't have been a sales rep or a merchandiser if I hadn't have taken those communication classes, because I was shy. I didn't really like to talk to people until public speaking told me otherwise. So, but I worked for Kraft Foods, which is Nabisco. So I got to stock all those Oreos and Ritz crackers for several years. And then in 2014, I left Nabisco and went to the medical school. So I worked here at ChiCom as the assistant to the Associate Dean for Student Affairs. So I planned all of their orientations, their white coat ceremony, and several other events throughout the year with them. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But the position opened up at the hospital, which was a new position, and it was project manager for public relations. And I reviewed the job description. I said, yeah, I can do all that. I've got that experience. So I put together a portfolio, which is a very important thing to focus on, because I was the only candidate who brought a portfolio with them for that position. So anyways, I took the leap, and that's where I am. I've been there since January of this year, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And yeah, so.
Anybody else want to talk to portfolios? Oh, I can.
Yeah. Portfolios are very important to have.
When I applied to the Appalachian News Express, I had a portfolio, and I had all my English writings and everything that I had presented, and I had everything from the bare facts and everything I'd laid out, and just about anything that I thought that was going to be relevant to my life or to that job I had in that portfolio. And much like Tiffany, that was the only reason I got hired. They read my stories, they loved the format, they loved, how I was trained over there. So they loved all that, and that's really what started my career, is just getting the portfolio, applying for the job, working at the News Express, but being a reporter. I was a staff writer like Buddy, and then networking. I cannot express how important it is to network, not only with business professionals, but among yourselves. I work with a majority of these people on a daily basis. In my role at the city, I'm officially, unofficially the PR person. So I work with Buddy, I work with Marianne, I work with Abigail, I work with all these people. I send them press releases, I send them invitations to events, they contact me. So getting to know these people, and I work with Lisa too. Sorry Lisa, I didn't mean to leave you out. I work with Lisa too. So getting to know these people, establishing these relationships is so important. And don't think that you're going to graduate here and never see these people again, because you will. So establish these. The guy back there, he's like, no, I'm gone. He was like, I'm out of here. And I too thought that, and I'm still here. So that is so important. But yeah, it all started here. It started with the portfolio. It started at the News Express and brought me to where I am today.
I'll talk about a different portfolio. Okay, so, you can write as much as you want. You can say, I have all of these skills, but until you can really show that you can do it, your employer isn't going to care, to be honest. In my business, we make these reels. So I had a digital portfolio. I had a WordPress blog, thanks to Chandra's class. And that's where I put all of my Adobe Premiere works and everything that I had written and my reel and everything like that, because, I can sit here and say, yeah, I can talk to people, yeah, I can do a stand-up and I can write a cohesive package, but until you can really see what I can do, your employer isn't going to care. And usually if you don't grab their attention within, I'll say the first 10, 15 seconds of your reel, they're not going to care. It's on to the next one. If you're not going to do the job in the way that they want it to be done, someone else will, and they will be better. So you want to be the best. And there's no better way to really do that than with a digital portfolio.
I'll say something. So going back to what I was saying to you guys earlier, I was a photographer whenever I first came here. How many of you guys are freshmen and sophomores? A lot. Okay, cool. So when I was a freshman and sophomore, I had just come out of high school, obviously, and was doing my photography into college and stuff. I don't do that anymore because I've gotten really far progressed with my current career. But in high school and in college, it was very important to have a portfolio of photos that you could show people in order to get jobs, right? So going off of what these guys were saying earlier, I've worked with the tourism department in Pikeville. I've worked with the Appalachian News Express. I've worked with the Pikeville Medical Leader. I've worked with the University of Pikeville. I worked specifically with Ty and the basketball team for a little while. I did a lot of things to where I had a lot of exposure. And because of that exposure, I ended up working 2 years part-time with USA Today as a contract photographer. So I got to go to UK basketball games and sit on the floor. I got to hang out with Mark Stoops and see the guys with the UK football team. I got to go up and shoot the Bengals. I got to go up and shoot the Reds. All around here and in this area and stuff, I had a lot of exposure and I had a chance to do a lot of really, really cool things. I took photos of B.O.B. I took photos of Drake. If you guys like country music, I took photos of Brad Paisley, Mumford & Sons. I was a sports photographer and a concert photographer, so I got a chance to do a lot of really cool things. And I did all that as a freshman and sophomore in college. So that's something else, too, to speak to you younger guys in here. Even though you're still a freshman and sophomore, don't think that you can't put your communication degree that you're learning currently into effect now. Okay, because like I said, I was traveling up to New York and, all over the place whenever I was early on in my college career, so I had a chance to do a lot of really cool things that, you guys can do too. And a lot of that, once again, going back, has to do with having a solid portfolio. And because of my previous experience, I was able to pursue new and exciting and really cool things. And I had all that on a digital portfolio online. So Chandra teaches you guys in one of her classes how to put together portfolios. And it's very integral if you guys are going to go into any type of media or, video or anything like that. I worked with Pike TV for a little while with Al Greenfield and the guys down there, and really got a lot of really, really good tools to be able to use future on in life. Now, if I ever decide to go back and do something with media and film and things like that, I'm going to have those tools to be able to utilize as well as my marketing and as well as my sales skills that I'm currently learning. So it never helps to constantly build upon your current knowledge and learn new things. Okay?
Does anyone have any questions? Brandon.
You guys mentioned, you guys mentioned Adobe and that suite. What other sort of programs would you recommend getting familiar with before you enter the job field? Anything specific comes to mind?
I have plenty to say. When I graduated from this program, we had Quark at the time, didn't we, Chandra? I was not trained in Adobe, so I had to train myself. And so I do things with Premiere and Photoshop, and I do some with InDesign, things like that. That's stuff, and I've had to teach myself, and that's, I know, right? And so, but I love it, love every second of it. And so those are the top three that I think, and Photoshop are all the ones that I use. I don't know about anybody else. Here you go, Abigail.
Yeah, so kind of like Elizabeth said, that's the programs that I use and would recommend getting familiar with is Adobe InDesign. That's what we use to lay out the paper, and we do that on a weekly basis. Our paper comes out every Friday, and then Photoshop, we use that too a lot, and I mean that's probably about it. I mean we use all three, but InDesign mostly in Photoshop. So.
Yep.
I mean, I can
Go for it. Yeah,
well, we have our own ENPS is what we write our stories and put together our newscasts, our rundown, things like that. So that's not exactly the Adobe suite or anything, but I would recommend getting the whole Adobe suite because not only will you use Photoshop, InDesign, Premiere. In Premiere, you'll also use After Effects, things like that once you get into editing and once you start doing fun things with video design and things like that. So I wouldn't say that there's just, one or two things. I would say literally just get the whole suite.
The Adobe Suite for students for $20 a month, a subscription service. That might be something you want to ask parents or grandparents for Christmas to pay your Adobe Suite for a year.
I'll also add that you should not only be familiar with Adobe in general, you should also get to know some older software. My first job straight out of college, I had the position that Abigail had as the communications manager at the Southeast Kentucky Chamber, and I was laying out the newsletter in Publisher.
Oh yeah, Publisher.
And before I had that job, the last time I used Publisher was when I was in high school. So, you have to be familiar with that, and I had no idea how to use it. Because we used Quark here, and then they were using Word before I even was using Publisher, so I thought I had brought that up a little bit. And then in my current position at Community Trust Bank, I use Corel. I don't know if you all are familiar with that. I use Corel, InDesign, and Photoshop. So just in general, you should learn other software than just Adobe.
Learn it all.
Or, for our program, we've got a lot of Photoshop things that we send out and recruiting newsletters and that kind of stuff. So, like, if you're not going to learn all that kind of stuff or don't know that kind of stuff, you should marry somebody that is really good at that kind of stuff and knows how to do that kind of stuff, so she can help you out with that. For sure. Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Okay, Rob has a question.
Okay, so as seniors in the communication program, we have to do an internship. If you all had internships, can you talk about the process about that and how it's benefited you if possible?
Funny you ask. I counted my study abroad experience in Costa Rica as my internship, so I didn't have like a normal internship, but I am the director of the internship program for the city of Pikeville. So I offer those things, and I actually have Billy over there is one of my interns. I know, right? Poor Billy. And so what I do in my program is that I have my interns do research. So you'll do regional research, economic development research. You'll help develop marketing packets. You'll help me develop proposals. We'll do Photoshop. I'll have you, I manage the Pedway sign. So, I'll come in and I'll be like, hey, I want something pretty for the Pedway sign. Here's all my pictures. Make me something pretty, and if I like it, we'll put it up there. That's basically what my interns do, along with anything else that I can think that will be beneficial to you. And so you'll attend commission meetings, and I'll take you to conferences and things like that as they come available. So when you're looking for an internship, think outside the box. That's a big thing for me. Not because you have a communication degree or you're, an English degree or whatever, doesn't mean you have to go one specific way. You have plenty of things to do, and your communications degree will allow you to go anywhere in the world, because I never thought that I'd be working in local government I really thought that I would be a songwriter in Nashville. We see, yeah, I know, right? So see where I am, and I think that I might have not have. I didn't end up where I intended to go, but I ended up where I needed to be. And so this is my home, and it all kind of started right here with all of that. But you know, when you're looking for an internship, don't think just one career path. I would tell you to go probably do the opposite of what you think that you would want to do.
Let me make a comment real quick. For those of you who are looking for internships, think, like she said, think outside the box a little bit. Maybe think going to Washington, D.C. and doing an internship there. Our last intern was a communication major, and I can set you up with an internship in just about any government agency or nonprofit, public relations. It doesn't, don't think just Capitol Hill for internships as far as that goes through me. So if you're interested in a Washington internship, which is at about the same cost as it is to go here for a semester, come talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think of yourselves as compasses. You can go anywhere in the world. Do it. Do it.
And, you know, everybody wants to get credit for their internship, and that's 100% accurate. You should. But, like, don't, just because maybe you don't get an internship that you wanted or maybe you don't know where to look, like, don't not work. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to go and do something. You know, I did it for 3 years as an undergraduate with Coach Wells, and I basically got my opportunity just because I was free labor. You know, I was willing to go work long hours for no money and earn responsibility and respect that way, you know, for several years. You know, where's Mary George at now? What does she do? Like, when she was here, she's retired. You know, she really pushed me out of my comfort zone a lot. Like, she was different than any teacher I'd ever had in anything. So she really pushed me out of that and would help me kind of, you know, what I wanted to do. She would steer me that direction, and she really supported me, and Miss Massner as well. When you're putting your portfolios together, your resumes and that kind of stuff, you know, a coaching portfolio and resume is a little different. You know, Coach Wells isn't going to you know, doesn't really care what you did at Food City or whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily translate. So they were really nice with me to allow me, you know, I just didn't want to do a regular one. Like, I didn't have any desire to have a regular job. Like, I wanted to coach. That's what I was doing. That's what I was going to do. So they worked with me and allowed me to do a different path a little bit with the portfolio and the resume. But, you know, don't not go out and try to find experiences somehow. Like, whether it be in the summer, whether it be now, you know, do it while you're in college and you can afford to do long hours for cheaper. It's a little easier. Like, no matter how hard it seems for you to be able to do that now, it never gets easier. So, like, do that now while you're here so that hopefully when you do finish, you can move into a full-time job and have a pretty good situation versus having to back up, do all that free labor and all those long hours as soon as you get done because you don't have any experience. Because at the end of the day, you know, experiences, you know, there's going to be entry-level jobs that you can get. You're not going to want to keep those for very long probably. So the experience is going to be extremely important for you guys to try to get. And I would get as much of that doing whatever it is right now. Try to figure out what you want to do.
Looking back on my internship, and I know Chandra doesn't want me to say anything bad, but looking back, I mean, I did not like my internship. I interned at the Artisan Alliance here in town, which is no longer no, it's not. It's no longer exists. But at the time, it was a great idea because I was not into art or anything and like anything like that. So I went in blindsided, I guess, and she made me clean the bathrooms. She made me vacuum the floors, dust everything. But at the end of the day, like, I look back and I think about how bad I hated it. But at the end of the day, it's because of that I actually work harder to do what I do now. Because if I hadn't have done that and hadn't have been as spoiled rotten as I was, then I wouldn't be able to do what I do now, because I know what I didn't want to do was clean the toilets or vacuum the floors. So now I work harder that way. You know, eventually you have to start somewhere. I don't care. I worked at Food City all through high school and all through college. You have to start somewhere. I mean, vacuuming the floors and cleaning the toilets was my first step. And I hated it. I hated every second of it, and I did it anyways. And it's because of that work ethic that she had instilled in me that, you have to do this in order to take part in the event the next day. You can't just show up and expect something to be in perfect place or anything the next day during the event. So because of my internship, I learned that you do have to clean the toilets and vacuum the floors to get ready for the next day.
So my internship, like my college career, was a little different. I had already been working at the News Express for 2.5 years when it came time for my internship. So I worked there the last 2.5 years of my college career. And since I worked for the News Express, I couldn't really reach out to other media outlets to do my internship because that would just be a conflict of interest. So I did my internship as a staff writer at the News Express while working as a sports writer for our Mingo paper, because that was my job, a sports writer for the Mingo paper. And while I was doing that, I was also using my internship, which I was getting paid for because I already worked there. I was using the internship to give them stories that would be better for a staff writer instead of just sports. So I was writing things that were happening on campus. I was writing things that were happening in town as county news. And that's what made my editor say, I think we could use you in the News Express. So now instead of driving every day to Mingo County, 45 minutes, and then 45 minutes back, and covering sports all night, I get to cover county news and work a better schedule than I did then. And that's all because my internship let me do that. So I was already working there, but the internship helped me to get a better position in the same place.
Well, my internship literally led me straight into my job. I started interning at WYMT, and my hours were a little much. I was interning twice a week. It was 2 until after the 11, so around 12:30-ish. I would head back here to Pikeville. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive to Hazard, and then an hour and 15 back. And I would definitely say that I learned literally what it took to be a reporter from the time you step into that building until the time you leave. It's really just like this constant mouse wheel. You're just constantly working towards the next goal, towards the next deadline, and there's not really a lot of downtime and things like that, and I didn't realize that. Just working for the college or Bear TV News, things like that, yeah, you have a deadline and it's like 2 weeks or something like that. No, my deadline is like 2 hours every day. So I think that my internship really kind of taught me vital things that I really needed to know within my career.
You done? Okay. So my internship was actually in the admissions office here. I was a work study as a student, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do like when I graduated, but I knew that I really liked my work study. Like I loved being in the admissions office and doing that work, and I liked what the counselors were doing. Going out and like recruiting students and everything. So I was pretty involved when I was a student on campus. I was a SOAR leader, and then it switched over to GROW. So all of you have been through GROW and SOAR, and that's where I know most of you from. But I was a participant in that, and you should have asked Nancy Cade who wrote her a birthday song one year, because we did. That makes me happy. But anyway, I really loved the orientation part. I really loved being a SOAR leader, and the program actually got moved to admissions my senior year of college, and I simply just asked admissions if they had ever had an intern and would that be something they would be interested in, and I could help them with our orientation program. So I guess my internship was through admissions with GROW or SOAR, whatever you want to call it. And although it was really hard for me to leave when I graduated because I wasn't ready to leave. But there just wasn't nothing available here when I graduated. So I actually moved back home. But when the position came available for an admissions counselor, I was the first one that they had called because they saw my work ethic in the office and knew that, that was something I was interested in. So I guess I can say that my internship led me into where I am now.
Still got time? Okay. Okay. I know you guys are super excited to go to your next class, so yeah. I'm gonna make this short and sweet then. So my internship was actually with the law office. I worked downtown here. I was in court twice a week. Once again, it's one of those things where you can never spread yourself far enough across and have a bunch of different career paths, possibly. I wanted to get my JD at one point. I wanted to be a professional photographer at one point. I wanted to be, a director at one point. So my internship, what it did was it taught me I definitely did not want to be a lawyer because it is a very, very densely populated profession, especially here in Pikeville, but all across the world. I'm not saying you shouldn't be a lawyer. If you want to be a lawyer and you want to litigate and that's going to be your thing and you want to go into corporate law, cool. That's awesome. Go for it. It wasn't for me. I'm not saying my internship didn't help me grow as a younger professional. It obviously did because I was able to meet a lot of the people downtown and stuff and in the courtroom and everything like that. But once again, just pursue your internship fully, and it's going to be very helpful for you. It's going to teach you what you do and don't want to do in life, as well as give you a solid foundation for a future career. Okay.
I think she has a question for you.
It was with I kind of dabbled with a bunch of different people, but it was mostly with Joseph Goff. He's just PLC. He's just by himself. But he works with can't think of the guy's name right now. I'll come back and tell you in just a moment. Okay.
Abby and Tiffany, if you could just tell me quickly where you interned.
Okay.
We're bumping up to the next class.
Okay. So my internship I did through Third Channel. It's a company where you are representatives for companies like Under Armour and Oakley. So I was like an Oakley rep, a 3C agent, where I had to go around and kind of talk with people, mostly just in like Hibbett sports stores, and kind of manage their Oakley cases.
I was a broke college kid that couldn't afford to give up my merchandising job, so I interned with Kraft. I shadowed my sales rep a couple of days a week just to see what he did, and that led to me getting the sales rep position upon graduation.
So let's thank all of these